Love your views on this. It's on a lot of front pages this morning, actually. So that's what you call a U-turn, says the Daily Mail. There we go. Because the Education Secretary announced yesterday that university tuition fees will be allowed to go up to £9,535 a year in England. That's an increase of £285. And, crucially, the first increase in 8 years. Some of the papers are furious about it. The Mail says that's what you call a U-turn. 4 years ago, Keir Starmer pledged to abolish student tuition fees. Yesterday, as PM, he raised them. And we can see him committing to that pledge in this interview in 2020.
Well, what about university tuition fees then? Will you remain committed to scrapping them in
They're
your first
all
term?
pledges, Andrew. So the answer to these questions is yes.
So university tuition fees being scrapped will be in a Starmer manifesto?
Yes, that's why it's
the
a
next
pledge.
election.
Right, that's why it's a pledge. So pledge doesn't mean promise. What is a pledge?
It seems to be meaningless now.
No, in an ideal world, I would like to. That's what. So what do you think of this?
Well, look, a week ago, we had a budget from a government that said they didn't need to increase taxes. We had the biggest increase in tax we've seen in modern times. I'm not a Labour person, and so perhaps I would say this, wouldn't I? But the number of broken promises from this government, they're just, I think they're taking real risks now with, trust in politics. Trust in politics is low anyway.
But what promises have they broken? Because they've stuck to their income tax VAT thing. Won't change.
Come on, Joe. They've legalistically kept to their promise,
yes.
But we know this isn't what they said they would.
Yeah, because if you work in an office at the moment, you look around, Nelufar, everyone's had a pay rise, but the pay rise has gone to the government. That's the employer NIC's thing.
It is the employer, not the employee, that will be paying it. It is the right place to position that, to pass it down, and it's up to the employer to figure out where to get that money from. So it's not just legalese, or it's not just on paper. It's a real thing.
What do you think of this then? Because this sounds like a broken promise.
This is really devious.
Oh,
really devious. I look. We know that the Liberal Democrats under Nick Clegg made a similar U-turn, and they were mocked, and it was a farce. And I would argue, it was one of the biggest things that detracted people from voting for Nick Clegg or the Liberal
crippled them for
it
5
crippled
years.
Them,
yeah.
absolutely. So the reason I'm saying that is that this is not. It might feel like £285 is not a lot of money, but it's the principle of the thing itself that's so vastly important. And a U-turn by the Liberal Democrats, a U-turn by Labour Party. It really is devious. I don't think. The other thing that
if I'm trying to defend Labour here, I only because you're both now very concerned. Martin Lewis, the money-saving expert, says it will only affect richer students, because obviously the ones who are on the assistance won't be affected. But also the other thing is this, that there seems to be a general understanding that hardly anyone's going to pay these debts back.
More, it's a balloon, it's a bubble that has been growing in the UK and America for years and years. But here's the thing. Think about the young person that this is affecting. They were told it would be abolished. It's gone from being abolished to being increased. And it's that kind of a betrayal that gets you. I think, my prediction is that for the Labour Party, this is going to be a slow creeper. And that over time, this is going to be just one of the stacks, one of the things that will turn into a bit of a...
It's not slow. I think people have already got wise to this government incredibly quickly. I thought Labour were going to be bad, but they've hit record unpopularity incredibly quickly.
Yeah.
And I think the British people can smell there's just something dishonest about this government. They thought the Tories were so bad they could walk into power, and they were right, but they were really unprepared for office. And I'm worried that we've got these people for 5 years.
Yeah, it's the puzzle that Rachel Reeves did the winter fuel allowance change without really reading the room. I can't really work out, because the anger we've had on the phones about that one thing has been smoking. Really, really, really serious.
I think people will accept hard decisions imposed upon them, but I think part of the problem with that winter fuel announcement was that it happened, like you say, out of the blue, but it was almost like pensioners were being singled out.
Before anyone else. Before the budget. The issue was the timing. Listen, I'm beginning to suspect that the Labour Party, with Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves at the helm, are not, they have a slightly myopic view. They're thinking about parliamentary politics. They're thinking about the jostling back and forth in the papers. They need to have their eye on things like this, things like the winter fuel allowance, because that is what the people care about.
Yeah, but there isn't any parliamentary politics. They've got a majority of What is it actually? 100 and something? I mean,
Yeah, it's 170 or something.
yeah, I mean, it's approaching 200. They don't need to worry about anything in
They're playing
Parliament.
party politics rather than playing
Yeah,
to the
I
citizens.
think that's right.
Yeah. Okay, Claude is in London. Claude, what do you think of these student fee changes?
Well, first and foremost, good morning. I think it's a betrayal of students. And we also go back to Nick Clegg, bringing it to 29,000 for students to pay for tuition fees. We should not have to bail out the mistakes of previous governments. We should have a scrap to tuition fees, and it's a complete betrayal for students that believe in education and the importance of not making education a commodity system.
It's hard. I'm guessing you're a student, Claude, are you?
Yes, I am a student, and I'm also a student that's facing legal battles to try and get my quality of education in higher education and further.
Okay, so you are you currently, what are you studying at university then?
Well, I'm hoping to study English and also travel. And I'm really betrayed by. I feel betrayed by the decisions that's been made by this government. Because we shouldn't have to keep the lights on for the previous government's mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, it comes back to this thing of there not being any money. What sort of debt do you expect to leave university with, Claude?
Well, it's going to be that there's going to be the very money that's going to be expected from us. So that 29,000 that Nick Clegg basically made in the coalition, which really it's the mistake of the Liberal Democrats in the previous government, and Labour's now had to fit this bill to now put the pressure for us students to now, help them keep the lights on.
All right, Claude, thank you so much. Thank you. Because I've heard students graduating after 3 years with debts of 60,000, 70,000. Does that sound crazy, Nelufar? As the youngest person here?
Can I just say, my year was I think it was the second year where tuition fees were introduced. So I think the year before me, they had 1,300, and then the year mine was a 3,000 per year, I should say. I do think that this is a betrayal. I don't like the idea of young people entering the workforce with the highest rents that they ever have to pay, tax burdens that are kind of getting disproportionately higher and higher, and now they have to pay more tuition fees.
Okay.
There's nothing against
After the break, it's the paper.